Hi, boys and girls. This week we're going to continue to learn about Jamestown. This week we're going to focus on the charters of the Virginia Company, and we're going to focus on the government of the Jamestown colony. So, what was the importance of the charters of the Virginia Company of London to the Jamestown settlement? Well, in order for the Virginia Company to start a colony in North America, they had to get permission. And so the person they were going to get permission from was the ruler at the time, which was the King of England. So the King of England granted charters to the Virginia Company of London. So a charter was just a written document. So he was giving them permission to start a colony. And that was written in this document you can see here at the bottom. Okay, there is a copy of it, or a picture of it, I should say. So in this document, it said that they could establish a settlement in North America. That meant they could just start a colony in North America, in British North America, because it was ruled by Great Britain or England, which was the same place. It also said that they could have English rights. So that meant that they would get the same rights in the New World that the English received in England. So they had got the same rights and privileges. And it also stated that it would define the physical boundaries of the colony. So the king only gave the Virginia Company permission. Remember, the Virginia Company financed or paid for the settlement of Jamestown. So what was the system of government called? Well, we know Jamestown started in 1607. So the government didn't really take place until 1619. And up until that point, the king had kind of ruled it and they were all told what to do. So as Jamestown grew, the system of government evolved, and we still use this system of government today. So in 1619, the governor of the Virginia called a meeting of the General Assembly. The assembly included 2 citizen representatives called burgesses from each of the divisions of Virginia, along with the governor's council and the governor, and they met as one legislative body. A legislative body are the people who make the laws. So legislative are lawmakers. So they would make all the laws for the colony. And at that time, only certain free adult men had a right to take part. So in 1619, the governor called this meeting. The governor was appointed. That means he was picked by the king and the Virginia Company. And then you had the governor's council. And the governor appointed or picked his council, the people he wanted to help him. And then you had burgesses or representatives. Now, they were actually elected by the people and not appointed. So this government took place for a long time. But by the 1640s, that's almost 21 years later, the burgesses became a separate legislative body. So they all met together in 1619, but by the 1640s, they met separate. So they were called the House of Burgesses. So you had the burgesses, and then they met separate from the governor and his council. But they still made up the General Assembly. It just had 2 parts. Okay, and these 2 bodies make up the General Assembly. Now, what was the Virginia House of Burgesses and why was it important? Well, the House of Burgesses was the very first elected legislative body in English America, and that gave settlers the opportunity to control their own government. So they actually got to go vote like we did a couple weeks ago, and they voted for who they wanted to represent them, which makes it an elected legislative body. They weren't appointed by the king or the Virginia Company. And our current Virginia General Assembly dates back to the establishment of the House of Burgesses in Jamestown in 1619. Now below you're going to see a picture where they met in the church at Jamestown. Then there's a picture of the church, the outside of the church at Jamestown. And then, does anybody know what this building is? It's our Capitol building in Richmond that we use today.